Hello and welcome, esports fans, to the HSEL Overwatch Fall 2019 Majors, and it's the finals. FBI Tugboat here, joined with my wild man, Zark. Zark, how we doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to get this kicked off. This is such a great opportunity for these folks to compete for some real money here, FBI.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you said it best, my friend. Talk to me a little bit about this tournament and what they can look forward to if they do win.
Yeah, so this is a tournament where really these teams are competing for $6,000 in scholarships. That is a huge chunk of money, such a great opportunity. That's right. And so this whole tournament has been over the course of an 8-week season. There's been 244 teams across the U.S. and Canada, and all of that was followed by a 16-team single elimination bracket. And FBI, we've come down to the final 2 teams.
Yes, sir. After much ado, right? Lyons Esports taking on CF Ambush. Lyons Esports coming through, not dropping a game yet. 8-0, Zark. Flip side of the coin. CF Ambush has only lost one, and that has been to Lyons Esports. We're going to get in the action right now. Busan first in this best of 5.
Yeah, Busan is going to be the first one. And this is a really exciting time for Overwatch, especially to just be a spectator of Overwatch, because we had the first patch in a pretty decent chunk of time, right? And it's about a week old now. So teams are still figuring out exactly what the meta is going to look like, exactly what are the heroes that are going to be strongest to play in these head-to-head matchups. So, you know, we've seen a couple things in the Breakable Barriers Open Division tournaments where we've seen lots of different looks. Arisa Sigma still a very strong tank line, but at this point, things are still kind of up in the air. We could see some creativity coming from these teams, and I'm certainly hoping to see some of that as we get started here on Busan.
Yes, exactly. Literally everything is up in the air right now with such massive changes to armor and more, which we might get into a little bit later. It's like you just said, everybody is still figuring things out. We're on along with Peepo, main tank for the side of Lyons Esports, as this looks like CF Ambush opting to go down bottom first. Rissa now with that flashy new extra 50. Of course, this pharmacy combination up top, that is something else we saw in the Breaking Barriers, and this is Rebiology making a lot of value from it so far, and I'll tell you, CF Ambush grouping together like that is not going to bode well for them, as these rockets do not stop. Continuing on now, a couple of these eaten up by the Sigma down bottom, so going to be a little bit of value from that, but this continues to go on with this team fight.
Yeah, and so we're going to see CF Ambush getting the first kill here with that Coalescence, but Rebiology, they got a couple kills with that Barrage.
There it is. Made a lot of value from that, right? Huge source of damage lead from the Hanzo, no longer in field. Moira as well, and this looks like it's just going to be a little bit of cleanup after CF Ambush did take about 20% here.
Yeah, and this is a huge case of slow and steady wins the race, right? Lyons Gaming, they didn't have that Lucio in their lineup, so it took a little longer for them to get to the point. CF Ambush, they definitely got the head start there, got a little bit of percentage, but at the end of the game, or at the end of the day, Rebiology, they had that overhead view sneaking up behind CF Ambush while they were on the point. And really, there was so little that CF could really do about it. And so eventually, Rebiology was able to get that barrage off. And so now, Lyons, they're going to have a coalescence ambush. They got to find a way to get this Reaper death loss to be huge.
Yeah, he's very close to it. What I'm looking at is when the DPS player now going over to that hit scan is oh my goodness, Zident referred to from here on out, just a little bit easier on that one. Getting a lot of value from that two-piece on that is Wind. The other DPS for the side of CF Ambush just making mincemeat out of Lyons Esports.
Yeah, and for Lyons, really, that kind of comes down to Remington. I'm not going to lie. They should have had that rock there to kind of cancel out that Death Blossom, but they weren't ready. They weren't there for it. And really, Zeben Tensu just went right on into the enemy team and ulted. So really nice play by CF Ambush. Lyons Gaming, they're going to use a Dragon Strike here.
Yeah, and so much for the side of CF Ambush as well. They can afford to dump ultimates here. Now with Snowstir falling really, really early here, main support, deleted, and that's just going to leave the rest of Lyons in a little bit of mop-up here, as this is CF Ambush now hitting about 70%, Zark.
Yeah, and unfortunate for Lyons Gaming, they invested quite a few ultimates. They made some switches, so right, we see a Reaper and a McCree now instead of their previous DPS lineup, and we're also going to have a Lucio, so they want a little bit more speed here, trying to mirror what CF Ambush are running as far as their composition as well. But CF Ambush, they have the strength of ultimates, and there's 85% on the field.
Speaking of, this looks like Rebiology trying to find a good angle on this one, but there's only so much and so little time that you can dedicate into this, as now a huge source of damage gone between the Orisa and Reaper, and just like that, Lyons Esports comes back to strike and bite hard.
Really great play coming out there from Rebiology. They have been impressing me this entire time with their flanks. They're just constantly aware of the map geometry and what they have to do in order to provide opportunities for their team. So they got a nice little flank there on CF Ambush, and we'll see if they continue to impress, as it looks like CF Ambush are trying to make their way back to the point.
Yeah, recreating performances like that will be the name of the game here, as Wind falling a little bit early. It seems that both of these teams, DPS is falling really, really early in this, is going to really not do great for your chances of winning subsequent team fights. Now, Kitty Cat did follow the McCree for the side of Lyons Esports, but that was a little bit late. Didn't really matter.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how Lyons Gaming is addressing the flankers. We saw how they're able to utilize their own flankers, but whenever there is a flanker, they collapse on it quickly.
Early coalescence, as Spoon finds a little bit of value from that one. Main tank, and then the Sigma on his side picks one up, and just that's two supports taken out of just about as quick as it happens. 83% here now, as it looks like this is all CF Ambush.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are people with the late bongos there, but this is a really close matchup here, FB. I mean, honestly, it's coming down to just a couple compositional advantages, and there's a couple ultimate usage things that they can tweak coming into this. But honestly, like this was a really great way to start this out, because we can tell that both these teams, they have an understanding of like what's strong right now, what are some of the counters, and how can they proceed here and adapt to what the enemy is throwing them.
Yeah, a little bit of a different look here, right? I'm not against that. You know, the old phrase goes, don't fix it if it isn't broken. Lyons Esports, a team that is now looking to change things up a little bit, and this is the pretty standard alternative, right? The Doomfist Reaper.
Yeah, we've seen that in the previous meta right before the switch came over. Reaper Doom, definitely very strong. On the other side, CF Ambush, they're running that Hanzo Reaper. Hanzo has come a little bit more into the meta. We'll see if they're able to utilize that here.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall order for any Hanzo, especially here, Busan, and how nutty this is going to be. This is Kitty Cat looking to get involved quickly. That's a Nice punch and a not one but two. Called a 2-for-1 on this as Kitty Cat's looking to rotate back around now over with Ray, and he's getting damage in himself. And there's Wind. We were looking for Hanzo picks earlier, and there's his first. Chigs, we'll see you back in spawn as Coalescence coming out, an early one from Snowster, but getting a lot of value from it so far. This Orisa just taking all the damage, but it's me, Wind, who does fall there. Kitty Cat all over on that one as he's getting a lot of attention himself, getting super low, but does get taken out there. The very, very end. No thing that Snowster and Chigs can do about that one. Early Sigma ultimate as well as it looks like to be a little bit of cleanup, but really this is actually anybody's team fight as now players falling from both sides. A little bit of blue here on the right side of the kill feed as now CF Ambush looks like they're coming out on top.
Yeah, so this is cleanup here for CF Ambush. And I do want to say this all started with Chigs falling really early in that team fight. The Lucio for Lyons Gaming. They went and tried to get a boop alongside one of Peepo's halts there. They tried to boop them into their own team so they could collapse and get a nice kill. But unfortunately, they got caught out of position and ended up falling early. So there was a lot of healing that was missing and a lot of speed as well that made that engagement a lot more difficult for Lyons Gaming.
The Lucio's both sides been putting forward really impressive performances, and you can tell both with Ultimate already that's Zevin getting in there, taking out a main support, and that is what any DPS is going to be looking to do is Ray looking to get his own damage in. That's a big one down bottom as DPS is falling from both sides. Ray looking for a little flank action coming over onto the Orisa, getting a lot of damage onto that one, trying to get back as Remington now pulling and getting all the value in the world from this Sigma ultimate. Wholesale switches, looks like Wind now going on over to the Soldier 76.
So Lyons Gaming, they're able to turn that around. We see that Kitty Cat has decided to swap off of the Doomfist. They're actually going on to the McCree's. A little bit of indecision there. They were Hanzo for a hot second, but now they're going to do the McCree. CF Ambush, they're making some switches as well. Wind was on the Soldier, but they've now switched back onto the Hanzo instead. So running the same count that they had before. But Huge Meat, they're going to have an ultimate here, a Flux, and let's see if they can get done. Huge halt.
That's a lot of them inside there, getting damage on top as well, and I'm amazed that nobody fell there. Everybody from Lyons Esports able to get out of that one. No ultimates invested. There's Huge Me and more. The rest of CF Ambush looking to get this going. They do not want to pull any more ultimates after Spoon does use this Coalescence, finding value from it as Debo gets super low, and Ray is not going to fall that easily. They're now going to be surpassing CF Ambush just in percentages, but as I say that, CF Ambush taking a couple picks here and making this one a little bit easier for themselves.
So yeah, I mean, CF Ambush, they used a couple ultimates to open up that engagement, and they got a fair amount of value with that as well. And it seems like Lyons Gaming, it seems like they're having some trouble really capitalizing on what their DPS are trying to do.
It really is up and down.
Yeah, it seems like Kit Kat is having a little bit of trouble getting started here. Rebiology, they're having some nice flanks, but again, they're getting stopped pretty early. CF Ambush, they're adapting quickly.
And that really is, I mean, the name of the game here, right? This is Overwatch. You can switch heroes at any time. Now 70% here for CF Ambushes. This is Lyons Esports trying to rotate around, but they need to dedicate themselves to one side and do it now. Now, first shield of these two getting deleted, but blocking up a lot for Lyons and allowing them to get close and personal here. That's a lot of damage coming out of Kitty Cat as that Orisa did get a nice pull there, but not a whole lot of backup from the rest of the team. Now a sound barrier from Chigs doing his part on that. It might be 12 o'clock, and it is for Zevin there as Rhea gets the last little bit of damage onto his counterpart. A little Reaper on Reaper action as this is flipped back on over to Lyons Esports.
Yeah, and Lyons Gaming, they needed to win this team fight. It looks like CF Ambush got all the way to 99%. And if CF Ambush win one more team fight, this map is going to go the way of CF Ambush. So Lyons Gaming, they got to hold on to this if they want to hope here on Busan. And Rebiology, they're going to have a Death Blossom here. People has that bongo. That's going to be really important for them in this next team fight. That is such a crucial ultimate, so that you don't want to waste it. Let's see what they can make happen here.
Yeah, there's Huge Me and Peepo at the same time as if on cue, but Spoon falling first, but not without incident as Chigs falling other side, but Ray getting it in here and getting it going. Two-piece followed right after the Death Blossom, and now at 93%, I am not sure if CF Ambush is going to be able to get in here at full force.
We'll see. It's going to be tough. It looks like the Lucio Bebo, they tried to make it. They did touch, but it's going to cost them their life.
10-player kill streak here for Rhea, getting absolutely going. Now badgering a Soldier 76 as well. Not many things this guy can't do, but as he gets back, almost ignoring that Soldier 76, and that'll happen when you turn your back on those Vortex rockets, Zark.
Ooh, and it looked like Wind tried to get on a flank there, but to no avail. A nice rock there on a huge me is going to stop them in their tracks, and there's not many people left on this point, FBI.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised there, I guess. That's Lucio's for you, right? Particularly Wiley.
Oh, absolutely. And so I want to highlight Rebiology in that second to last fight there, where CF Ambush, they opened it up with the flux there from the Sigma Huge Me, and they were engaging with that, but Rebiology read that, and one of the fundamental things that we know about this game is one of the best times to attack the enemy team is during a rotation. And what was happening there was CF Ambush, they tried to rotate to capitalize on that slam that Huge Me had just served up. But while they were in the middle of rotating, Rebiology, they had that Death Blossom, used it right in the backline, took out at least 3 members with it. Really well read. And now we're on to Mecha Base. Similar compositions to what were being run before. Wind on the McCree, Kitty Cat on the Doomfist. We'll see if they can get any more value this time around.
Look at Wind already at 15% after a couple of headshots served up hot. Punch coming in as Kitty Cat kind of looks like he's a little bit pensive to get up on this one. And as I say that, Sigma goes flying over the top. Huge Me now back with the rest of his team as this brawl just absolutely continues. Wind falling to a Reaper. Usually you see a McCree going the other way around, but just as I say that, Lyons Esports take 2 more, and I think this is a CF Ambush team looking to get on out of Dodge.
Yeah, and this is crucial because Wind was the first one to fall there. Rebiology and the rest of Lyons Gaming, they knew that that's a big counter to Kitty Cat on that Doomfist. They had to take them out. But look at the sneak around. CF Ambush, they're going to get onto the point for free here.
Wow, yeah, Ambush proving their name here as Remington and Moore forced down quickly. And that's what's going to happen when you fall from a high height, my friends. Zebin and Wing just absolutely doing bad things to this team. At 3 of them dropping just like that. And that's actually Snowster investing that coalescence as well. I got to ask the opinion on that one, Zark. What do you think?
A Sea of Ambush, really great idea. Very rarely do you ever see teams go below there because it's such a choke that you can get held up at. But CF Ambush, they were able to rally really quickly, sneak behind them, and Lyons Gaming, they were just completely caught out in the open. It was pretty unfortunate for them. But look at Sebinetsu. They're hiding underneath the Mecha Base. They're waiting for this rotation to use their Death Blossom.
Yeah, the rotations in this have really just been so effective so far, and that's Kitty doing the opposite of rotation, taking this fight right to them, and Meteor Strike right down on top of their heads. You don't get more direct than that, Zark. A very definitive take on this, and only, one loss, Chigs? As Lucio, he'll be back any minute.
Huge plays coming out from Kitty Cat on the Doomfist. They struggled on the last map to make anything happen with the Doomfist, but now Lyons Gaming, they got together. They know how this Doomfist is going to work, and this time they were ready for the turnaround here.
Yeah, I mean, that was 1 ultimate invested as well. You don't get much better than that, and I don't know Overwatch stocks that well, my friend. A lot of damage coming out from Wind, and I gotta say, Huge Me has just been getting it going on the Sigma. I know he's got that, like the 1-2 piece combination, but he's just been doing nasty things to the members of the Lyons Esports.
And on top of that, Lyons Gaming, they don't have any sort of support ultimates to try and, cancel it out. Chigs, they're up to only 90% on that sound barrier. They weren't able to do anything about it, so they have to try and be getting that ultimate charge up sooner.
Yeah, and especially taking a team fight like that is just always going to be rough. Nothing much to say about this one. Is wholesale murder coming through for Lyons Esports just as easy as finding pocket length. That was... Again, that was 2 ultimates there. Remington and Rebiology both pulling theirs, but just absolutely dominant, man, and quick too.
The Orisa ultimate plus the Reaper, that is scary stuff. We'll see if Ambush, they're going to try and make this high ground rotation. Doomfist trying to find a punch, not going to find it yet.
Ray here getting great damage in from the side, trying not to find attention though, and that is exactly what happens. Nice little counter pick there from Zebin as these teams fighting decently even. Little 5-5 action, but the main tank gone for CF Ambush might prove really detrimental. But as I say that, 12 o'clock almost Miss McCree trying to get on the other side of it, but Wind forced to abandon that as now Bebo takes that DPS tag when might not necessarily be his role away from Huge Me. That was just 2 right on top of that. I don't even think that was really assisted, Zark.
Yeah, I mean, at this point right now, it seems like whichever team is pressing W is winning the battle. I mean, honestly, it's so back and forth right now. 99
is that indicative of what we're going to see next? Meta-wise.
I couldn't tell you right now, but this is certainly really interesting for me to watch and see how these teams are utilizing these compositions to their advantage. I like this high ground rotation from Lyons, but they got to find out what's the best way to get in and start causing some havoc here, because it is 85% and rising.
No, Sevenet's going to be make this a little bit rough, and that's 3 on the side of CF Ambush as Kitty Cat and Moore trying to get something going here. Big slam here as Huge Me makes them one with the dirt. Ray Biology getting the damage in, but he is only one man against the world. A full team wipe as CF Ambush comes through with a very definitive Mat 3 boost on W.
Really great stuff there from both teams.
Wow.
I mean, again, it just goes to show you how closely matched these two teams are. I mean, it was back and forth the entire time. We're going to see a nice play of the game here from Chigs on the Moira here with this Coalescence, I'm sure, saving the team and probably getting some kills along with it. Yeah. But so I think from both these teams, we're seeing a lot of adaptation. We're seeing that both these teams are really analyzing how each other are playing, trying to figure out what are the weaknesses here. Lyons Gaming, they started out noticing that CF Ambush, they weren't reacting as well to the flanking. So you had Rebiology on those big flanks with the Reaper and the Pharah. But CF Ambush, they were able to kind of figure it out. They were able to make some picks. They started running a lot more McCree to shut down flankers, whether it was the Pharah or the Doomfist. They were running that McCree to try and put a lot more pressure on those flanking DPS. So there's like a lot of just analyzing your opponent, readjusting your strategy and your gameplay to what the opponent is running. So this is really exciting for me. I'm liking the fact that we're seeing a couple new heroes in the mix. We've seen some Hanzo, some McCree. It's a little more static on the tank line and the support line. It seems like we're still having some remnants of the previous meta.
Don't say the word. Don't say the word.
But looks like we're going to do a quick break here. So stay tuned with us. We'll be right back very shortly.
How's my hair? Hello and welcome back after just a brief break. We're going to be getting it going here on Kings Row after we saw a nutty Busan round 1.
That's right. Yeah. Kings Row, I'm super excited about. It is basically quintessential. It's the quintessential Overwatch,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Overwatch map, right? It's a scrims row, as people like to say as well. So lots of teams like to practice on it. And so, again, just to recap for people, it is Lyons Esports versus CF Ambush. And CF Ambush taking the first map, if I'm correct.
Yes, sir. Striking first there on Busan. 2-1, though. It was very, very evenly matched, right? There was no, goose eggs put up by either team. And I know at least round 3 was the 99 to 100.
Right. Yeah, it was really close. Everything come down to the wire. And I am fully
Similar
expecting...
compositions as well,
Yeah, similar compositions. You know, again, the Orisa Sigma tank line, very similar. We saw Moira Lucio. There were some more variations at the beginning. Like on Downtown, we saw some Anna Mercy when Lyons was running the pharmacy. But for the most part, it's been Moira and Lucio. I'm curious to see if it looks like CF Ambush. You know, we'll see if they decide to stick with this. But at Lyons Gaming, they're going to be running pretty much the same thing we saw earlier, McCree and Reaper. So some DPS heroes that, you know, nothing too new here, but maybe they've decided to change up their play a little bit so they can have more of an edge in this next bout.
Yes, sir. And the classic Kings Row map. You love to see it, like you were saying. A great breakdown here of what these are, but we're going to see how it goes. That Sigma barrier going very, very quickly. That's the result of those changes to this character, that is for sure. Remington and company doing a great job of really heading off this team so far, and as I say, that kitty cat, the first two fall for the side of the Lions. This pack getting closer and closer to extinct, but actually Rayabology able to strike back, take out his counterpart, and get more going. The Sigma main tank for the side. CF Ambush no more. Chig's falling out here as well, but he's Lucio, who'll be back quickly in a very early coalescence here as Wind ends up a couple more on these after soon. A lot of that damage.
So the first thing I need to highlight is Zebinetsu. They have been having these sneaky little flanks ever since Mecha Base, and once again, it pays off huge. I mean, they started that off going through a hotel while the rest of their team went right down the middle, and they completely caught Lyons Gaming off guard and got some major kills. So now we'll see if they can continue to make some of these sneaky plays here as Lions are now making their way back to have a forward stance here right around the arch.
I thought you were going to say making their way downtown. It'd be an easier way that way instead of going under this bridge. Always a bloodbath guaranteed as Bebo almost eats the bullet on this one. Two supports falling, one on each team. Bebo, Lucio getting caught out in the front as Cat getting it going, but getting it punished for his aggression on this as we're seeing an offensive CF Ambush team forced to fall on back.
So right there, we saw that Remington opened that up with that flux there, and really Bebo, they didn't have the sound barrier to cancel it out, and Spoom didn't have a coalescence, so there was nothing to counter it. Here comes a dragon, not getting a whole lot of value though.
I'm used for sectioning, but that really just didn't get a whole lot done. Now a lot of attention coming on over to Lyons Esports, and I guess it does make, you know, another source of a threat, something that a defending team would have to pay attention to there.
You know, I think that's fair. You know, it's definitely a threat that teams have to be aware of and be paying attention to. But right now, the threat is that CF Ambush are pushing forward and have quite a few ultimates on the board. They can use Zebinetsu. They have that Death Blossom. They're trying to get on to a high ground position here to try and drop down on the enemy, but they actually got halted out of there.
Drop down like a guillotine here as these shields are not lasting long, Zark. 12 o'clock, and it is for post support for the side of CF Ambush. No more healing coming. None needed. At 7 takes it. Hey, if you want something done, you gotta do it yourself, Zark.
That's right. And I mean, Zebinetsu has been pushing this payload practically by themselves this entire time, just with huge value from whether it's sneaking around or getting some massive Death Blossoms. Really great stuff from the Reaper on CF Ambush. So really nice job there. And, you know, I'm curious to see how are Lions going to start really addressing this threat. They got to watch out for the Hanzo that is also above them. It's going to be dicey.
Speaking of snipers here, a huge me with a nice rock there. Chig's not going to see the rest of this team fight as early coalescence from Snowstar, but got to, given the other support is gone. Dragon's out again. Wind using him for sectioning, but then the rest of CF Ambush not doing anything with it. Just like that, flowing in like water, maybe more like a pack of lions. That's Lyons Esports just absolutely wiping CF Ambush all the way back to spawn.
So, right, and Lions, I think part of what allowed them to have that pushback was Kitty Cat went on to the Doomfist. So now they're having a little bit more of a forceful front line. They're able to punish anyone who tries to get into their back line a little bit more forcefully as well if the Doomfist is paying attention and watching for that. And they're close to their ultimate at this point too. So keep your eye on Zebinetsu. They just teleport into the back line, but here comes a Flux.
That's 3 of them there. They Arissa was able to get away in the well-timed sound barriers to keep members of CF Ambush fighting to see another day. He counters Sigma Ultimate, and that's going to be ending up the same way. Great timing by both of these Lucios as Kibo getting a little bit of damage in after he's done saving his team. Here comes Dragons right down the middle. That's forcing multiple players back. Pipo takes a long walk off a short pier, and we're looking at 3 minutes 20 as CF Ambush is rolling on into last point.
And CF Ambush using that bongo, that Arisa ultimate was so huge. Zebanetsu, oh my goodness, using the Death Blossom in the spawn room doors. Oh, you hate to see it.
It would be bad manners if it didn't work so darn well. Remington getting up here, doing the little disco moves, trying to stay alive. Not going to be so easy on this one. Great job at staggering out, in my opinion. There obviously could have been changes, onto like the ball, maybe a May or something like this. But other than that, that was just a very, very offensive, aggressive, and effective CF Ambush offensive push, straight up.
Yeah, I was super impressed with CF Ambush. I think that their use of the map, their knowledge of, again, something that I harped on last time, just the fact that the best time to attack a team is during a rotation. There were lots of times that Zebanetsu would get into the enemy's backline, sneak in behind there, and as soon as the team is trying to push on a Sigma ultimate, for example, all of a sudden you have this enemy DPS shooting you from behind, and so like it makes it really hard.
DPS.
Such a pesky DPS. It's crazy, and you can't push forward when you have that sort of threat in your backline. You need to try and address that, and so it slows down your entire attack. It's really well done by Zebanetsu and CF Ambush to be aware of that sort of idea and to really be capitalizing it very effectively.
Right. Big sources of threats. So something I guess I'll kind of connect to is like, whereas, you were talking about some other players, I feel like, making more use of that. I got to say, Wind on the Hanzo, there was a couple of different dragons there until the very last one that was very, very effective. One might even say it was super effective, but not really too much doing with it. Like there's a lot to be said. And I said in a moment that for zoning, forcing team, members of the other team to go to places they might not necessarily want to either avoid damage or die. But I just think it's an interesting duality, right? Using these other threats that come out from these ultimates.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to be watching for that. You have to be conscientious. And now Lyons Gaming, it is up to them to try and get a really strong push here because there's a lot of time left on the clock for CF Ambush.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. 3 minutes taking is fantastic. As now we see our first Baptiste of the day. Snowstar making the most out of it too. He's 72% ultimate, Zark. With healers like these, who needs DPSs? My oh my. 0.5% now, as we're looking at 2/3 as Snowstar isn't able to live through the rest of this. So they're only looking at a Zenyatta healer for this, but they're not going to need it because just the sheer DPS output.
I think part of that really is thanks to Snowster on that Baptiste. I mean, using that immortality field right when they're trying to push in and get aggressive, it's so useful, especially in a neutral fight like that where neither team really has an ultimate to save themselves. If you use that to get really aggressive, which they did, you can afford to take a lot more space and get a lot riskier with your positioning. So I'm a really big fan of that play. We'll see how Snowster is able to continue utilizing this hero in this next fight.
Well, here we see it again, right? It's classic Kings Row push after offensive team does take first push, now getting super aggressive. That was a really great answer by CF Ambush to not get caught off in this, honestly. Nice headshots here as Kitty Cat showing why he's playing on that Hanzo. Quick three-piece, actually, as members of CF Ambush falling left and right, Zark.
Really great stuff. Snowster using that Matrix right as they round the corner. CF Ambush, they're not ready for it. And you saw that Zebanetsu, they tried to be sneaky again. They tried to get around some of those corners, but Chigs, the Zenyatta, actually saw them and started shooting them to get that threat out of their backline. And the team wasn't fooled this time around. So it looks like they're going to cap second point with over 6 minutes on the clock, FBI. That is crazy.
Even this play-by-play caster can do simple math like that, and that's a lot. I know that much. 6 minutes, my oh my. Dragons coming out here as Kitty Cat almost, there's a couple more degrees left, and we'd be looking at a 6 graves on the side of CF Ambush. As it is, this one's still going on. Long team fights have been characteristic of this game between Lyons Esports and CF Ambush already. Now the Transcendence for your Shigs, both timed and fours. Everybody up on this is trying to get out of dodge's step, and that's not going to happen so easily. Now, he did get that Death Blossom there at the end. Definitely would have wanted to pull that one right next to a couple different support players, but both Mays falling here. Not going to. So, yeah.
And so now Lyons Gaming, they have a lot of ultimates using the Matrix here, and there's so little at this point that CF Ambush can do. They're going to try and use this Death Blossom.
Wow, 3-piece from that already, and that's how you win a team fight, Zark.
Absolutely. They just shut that down so quickly with basically just the one ultimate. I mean, sure, you saw CF Ambush use the sound barrier as well, but I mean, Lyons Gaming, they still have a lot of time on the clock. They have a couple ultimates as well, both DPS ultimates. That's going to be really huge coming on into here, especially because there's really no support ultimates online yet. Spoon, they might be able to get a Coalescence and try and save some members if there's something like that May ultimate that comes out here, but it's going to be close here if Lyons Gaming approaches the point soon.
Yeah, and these supports really have not had the opportunity to hold on to him very much, as now we see lizards everywhere. Wind and Rhea changing the temperature on this one as Zeb is finding headshots left and right. That's 2 tanks and his counterpart. That's some really great Hanzo play, let's say.
Yeah, and really great, basically a kite, where the team just sort of backs off and stays out of the sight of some of those ultimates. So it was really great kiting, but then on top of that, you saw the DPS both flank around the backside, and Zeb and Etsu finding Kit Kat to open this up. That's not the start you want.
Even already, right?
Yeah. For sure. But take a look at where Wind is right now this May. They're waiting for Lyons to get aggressive, and they're going to try and wall off some members to try and focus them down. So keep your eye on Wind. We'll see if Lyons is prepared for this.
Classic move. See if it works. Up goes the Weasel now as Wind gets caught out here going down. That's actually members of CF Ambush not able to answer him and left him out in the lurch. Dare I say, left him out in the cold. Lyons Esports now facing multiple dragons, and that invincibility shield. Snowster with the plant of the century on that. Nobody falling to these dragons today. Huge Me now down as Snowster starting with the damage, not just the saving and the healing as Chigs. That was his turn to pull that Transcendence, make everything all right with his team, and this looks like a Lyons Esports team that's going to get just shy of a CF Ambush 259.
Again, we talked about before, evenly matched teams today. I almost down to the second evenly matched. Really impressive stuff. And so for me, on that last push, I actually feel like CF Ambush, if they had followed up on Wind's play, they would have had more success. But kind of like you said, they left out Wind in the lurch a little bit and kind of just left them to die. And if CF Ambush had decided, no, it's saving Private Wind time, we're going to go out there, we're going to save our May and try and capitalize. Right, and try and capitalize on that play that they tried to make with the May wall. Maybe they could have given Wind a little bit of cover or created enough of a distraction to allow them to get out of there safely. But instead, they just decided to kite around the corner. They tried to take the 5v6, and this time around, it did not go in their favor. So I think part of this is just committing to a plan. If you got a plan, and even if things kind of go south, you got to commit to it, No,
100%. Especially given that you saw Wind setting up for that, 10, 15 seconds beforehand. That should have been a CF Ambush team that kind of realized, he might need a little bit of help, might need to get bailed out. There was multiple opportunities, and I mean, especially they had the Orisa at least. I'm not sure if they had the Sig, and that's Mobile Shield right there. Anywho, no harm, no foul. New game coming in as this is Lyons Esports trying to push this one. Now they're capitalizing on corners so far. Good job on that, as these shields really not going to last very long. It's kind of been the theme of the night for the first cast I've done since the new patch. It's interesting to see as Zeb picks himself up a 2-piece. Huge Me not to be outdone here, taking one of his own. Now Lyons Esports beating feet back to respawn.
Once again, we see the hotel coming in to do a lot of wonders for the defending team this time around, actually, instead of the offensive team. So you saw the Mei win there, trying to get aggressive and go through that hotel, try and slow people down. And then while the Sigma was distracted by that Mei, Zebanetsu was able to find a clutch kill there on the Hanzo and slow down this attack. So Lyons Gaming, they're going to try and get back into this. They have a Matrix. This could come in really clutch.
Yeah, and on the other side, a couple of limits kind of close, but nothing there quite yet. Zeb will guarantee be there soon as the window now comes out. Everybody on the side of CF Ambush wisely staying away from that one, but Win trying to get the flank action, not going to happen. That's a big Sig ultimate as everybody comes crashing down. The Orisa not going to take as much damage with the Fortify and whatnot, but just shy of 2 points? Oh, just shy of 2 points. That's Heartbreak Hotel.
Heartbreak Hotel, indeed. The Eagles are wait, no, that's Hotel California. Wrong hotel. But anyways.
They're all sad hotels.
That's right. But I'm really impressed with CF Ambush and their ability to kite. They knew that they had that Matrix coming up. They went into the hotel, didn't get caught out by it. Really nice heads up play. So now Lyons Gaming, they're going to have this Mei ultimate. This has to be huge.
Both DPSs coming out here. There's a decent attempt at the pull there for the CF Ambush, but all over that is Chigs. He's been all over these transcendences with the perfect timing. Now Chigs falling, well-placed headshots as by Wind as the freeze comes first. 30 seconds to go here is looking at just these opportunities slipping by and by. Now they have taken a tick, so this would not be a round lost completely. Okay, there you go. Well done. That's a Lyons Esports team that, after a very, very long team fight, comes out on top.
Yeah, I was actually pretty sure once that Mei ultimate came out from Win that this was actually going to go the other way. But Lyons Gaming, they were able to pick up the kills needed to turn that around. Really nicely done. And a lot of that kind of just comes down to mechanical skill at a certain point, right? Because ultimates can only do so much. You got to find the kills. So really nicely done. And it is overtime.
Very, very, very good point. There's only so much they can do there, and also, I mean, pressure's on, right? You're literally looking at, last little bit of this, and already an overtime round. Now the window come out, the ultimate's being dropped left and right. Everybody's screaming on this one. Is a lot of damage coming out, but only thing to leave so far have been an invincibility shields and these superchargers. Now Zeb being the first casualty on this as Dragon's coming out. That's hitting, but barely off yet again. Then the story of these Hanzos so far is it'll just fall very low as Spoon and other members of CF Ambush. It looks like Lyons coming out on top. Kings of the Jungle indeed.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, overtime round, and Lyons are continuing to push. This is devastating for CF Ambush. They have to back up all the way around. They're missing 2 members, including a support. And Lyons Gaming, they're continuing to push and take space.
Now we see a sneaky Zeb here, right? We've seen what he can do and what he's done before in previous rounds. Now, 50% ultimate doesn't mean he's full lethality. He's done as lethal as he can be, but here comes a Sig ultimate. This has also been hard hitting as the invincibility shield comes out, does its job. Here is Zeb getting called out on this one. Did get decently close to ultimate, but not going to see on this one as Remington being the only one falling for the side of Lyons Esports so far. Zark, I do believe they've earned themselves a second point.
Again, I said it was devastating before, but now this is really unfortunate for CF Ambush. Letting them grab 2 points in overtime, that's unfortunate. So now CF Ambush, they have a Mei ultimate and a Coalescence to try and utilize here. Lyons Gaming, they're going to have quite a few ultimates of their own. Honestly, this is going to be really tough for CF Ambush. This isn't going to be a cakewalk.
No, it's not. Here's the window first. Pipo's going to have that out one any second as Zeb getting up close and personal, trying to say hi with those shotguns. Here's the Dragons out again, and Zeb getting stunned out there. Not sending anybody anywhere today, my friends. Those are falling in the thick of things as well. The course fixed now, but they're getting it done here as Ray is the only one that the call wasn't able to go down close and don't quite yet. That's him throwing this out there. I think that this is a Lyons on Overwatch.
Wow, somebody needs to give Remington a big pat on the back. They ate the Mei ultimate and then had a huge slam that allowed them to get a lot of damage. Really big plays coming out from Remington.
If this is overtime. Nobody told Lyons Esports that they continue to get this going. Peepo falling, pulling off. Signal Ultimate almost being so effective there just by pulling people off to a one player on point that's just Ray by himself, and Chigs is finishing up the Coalescence, and only so much single Moira can do. I've been there before, my friend.
And finally, CF Ambush are able to stop this steamroll of a push that the Lions were having right there. I mean, 2 points in overtime, nearly 3 tugboat. That is not what you want in your overtime push. And again, I mentioned it before, but I just have to give another shout out to Remington, who again, they ate the May ultimate in that first point after they capped second. And then they also had a major flux. I mean, really, they played super well on that overtime push. And so now that, along with the other plays their team were making, has allowed them to push that cart so far down the map. And CF Ambush, they have their work cut out for them, FBI.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, Zark. There's literally only one thing they could have done better, right? Like this is, this is a report card. They're getting like an A even, not an A+, not 100%, because they didn't take it all the way. But seriously, and like you said, taking points in overtime, that is quintessential Overwatch on a quintessential Overwatch map like King's Row. You love it. Absolutely love it. 10 seconds to go here. It looking like maybe a different look. The double snipers coming from CF.
Yeah, CF will just see if they stick on that. Yeah, Zeb's going to change over to the May. Not too surprising. Okay. But I am surprised that CF Ambush are keeping the Moira Lucio support line. Normally, if you see Hanzo May DPS, you tend to see FAP Zen like Lions have. We'll see if the Lucio Moira
wall here. That's a really good wall, but I have to applaud members of CF Ambush here answering that immediately, and with the assistance of that Lucio speed boost, being able to get back around and at least forestalling their main tank dying for a couple seconds. It was a fantastic effort.
And a late kill there onto Zeb. They were hanging out there in the middle of the choke. Easy pickings there for Kitty Cat. But now, Lions Gaming...
barrel cats in the tunnel? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, CF Ambush, they do have a Coalescence coming up, and actually pretty quickly. They could maybe farm this up and use it this fight.
This is an angry anthill of the CF Ambush team as they're just all over this point and getting damage on from pretty much every point possible. As Jake's falling first, Peepo following suit as that Zeb continuing on with his nasty flank, Zark.
Zebinetsu and the flank. Name a more iconic duo in this fight. I mean, honestly, they are just constantly in the backline. And that fight, there was so much going on in the front that they didn't even see Zebinetsu for way too long until they had already killed like 2 people. So the Coalescence was the perfect distraction for Zebinetsu to get in there. And now this payload's rolling with 1:30 still on the clock.
Zeb getting sneaky again. A very interesting shadow step on that one as he did get over. Now the Dragon's coming out just a little bit off center on that one. It does look like, yeah, that's a half of the CF Ambush team did fall, but at the end of the day, we're seeing. Wait, excuse me, I got the teams mixed up. Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of ultimates dropping for the side of CF. Now they did win this, but this is a Lyons Esports team. Look at these numbers, man.
Yeah, I mean, a minute still left on the clock. They're making good headway. Lions, they got a couple ultimates. They're going to have both DPS and a bongo. CF Ambush, they did use a lot, but again, they're generating them pretty quickly. I mean, Zeb and Spoon, if they play their cards right, they could find their ultimates in this team fight towards the end.
Yeah, and this is CF Ambush looking just as effective as Lyons Esports did a second ago. Now Blizzard out trying to freeze them out of this one. Dragons following up, but again, this is a team that was able to get out of there with forethought, coordination, and communication. Super low is Hyper, got barely out of that one and just absolutely swarmed. And I am not sure if this is a CF Ambush team that's going to be able to get this one completely together. Zark, 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
That looked like a miscommunication to me. I mean, Zebinetsu got really aggressive really early there. The rest of their team was not there to provide the distraction that they normally are there for. And so Zebinetsu got caught out really early, using the bongo early too for Peepo.
I mean, he had a touch or whatever, but that's what you have a Hammond for, I thought. Sigma coming out, actually not getting anybody on that one, so this is still kind of anybody's team fight. This is Hyper getting so aggressive and actually abandoned by his Teammates in the back. That's actually, that's kind of something we've seen a couple times, right?
Yeah, definitely. And so now what we're seeing here is that Lyons Gaming have tied up the score,
Yes, sir.
1-1, FBI.
Yeah, that's exactly what they wanted here. Quintessential Overwatch on a quintessential map. That was a fantastic Kings Row performance. Something I might have predicted is, the Widow going up top, right? We've seen plenty of teams, literally since Overwatch came out, utilizing the Widow coming up top, trying to take a head or two. But in this double shields composition and how popular they are, it's just going to be hard to try and find a head behind the two shields.
Right. It's definitely tough today. We saw some more Widowmaker and other snipers being utilized in like the Breakable Barriers tournament. But it is definitely harder right now with the amount of barriers that are being used today. I will say that there was that nerf to a lot of the barriers, except for Winston's, I believe. So they're trying to make some changes to barriers so they're less prevalent. But at this point, they're still incredibly strong. And speaking of,
talk about that for a minute if you wanted to. I mean, the definitive number switches. I mean, we were looking at Reinhardt going from 1600 still, and given now after these changes, still the highest shield health in the game outside of Symmetra's ultimate. With her wall obviously being at like 10,000 or whatever, right? But talk to me about Sigmas, right? What a change! What a nerf!
Yeah, it's a really interesting one too. I mean, not only do you have just a straight up health nerf to them, but the barrier got nerfed, and I think the big one, the big one for me is that there's a cooldown on how you spam that shield. Maybe that was one that came in a patch earlier, but that to me was something that took a little bit of adjusting, and it's not so easy to spam the shield over and over again and address threats as quickly. You have to be a bit more mindful. And on top of that, with the shield nerf, you have to, again, be more mindful of, okay, what am I actually supposed to be saving this shield for? This needs to have a purpose. Exactly. So,
and 900 health, that's really, really not a whole lot. That is what Winston's bubble used to be, right?
I believe so. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Obviously more surface area, and so even easier to hit and whatnot, but now we're going on Temple of Anubis. I like it as a 2CP. Honestly, I really do.
I think as far as 2CPs go, it's pretty solid. I think that this is one of the better maps they could have chosen, and I'm really curious to see what we're going to be finding as far as compositions. I think, we've seen a lot of the Orisa Sigma, and I do want to highlight also on top of that I've thought CF Ambush have been utilizing the Orisa poles really well in comboing both the Sigma ultimate, the Flux, as well as the Dragon. There's been a couple times where they've caught people off guards and thrown them into one of those ultimates by utilizing that halt. It's something that Lyons have been doing as well, but CF Ambush, that's just something that I'm seeing come up a lot more. It's definitely something practiced throughout their scrims, is what it looks like to me.
Not a mistake. Not
really,
a mistake by any means.
Yeah, really nicely done.
Yeah, and when the amounts of damage are what they are, when we talk about dragons, or even just pulling into a Reaper with a character that both of these teams have shown a penchant for, it's really going to provide value all day long. A little pharmacy action coming out here from, Lyons Esports almost got mixed up again. And now with Rhea already up to 42%. This is a rotating CF Ambush team, but they're going to find some depth from above, and there's the first one. Now Zeb doing what Zeb does here, getting things interesting, and that Moira getting really low. Chig's getting out of dodge just at the last second, and Zeb getting taken down. Now a huge source of their damage, and they have that big BS character Reaper going to be safe now.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough opening engagement there for CF Ambush. And again, Lyons, they definitely addressed Zebunetsu on that flank really effectively. Of course, it hurt Zebunetsu that their team wasn't there to actually push through that choke and provide that distraction. But Rebiology, they already have their ultimate, man. I mean, this is going to be tough for CF Ambush.
Here, it looks like he was trying to fly a little bit low, get these missiles going early. He knows exactly where he needs to be, but Wynn grounds him quickly. Now there's the res, but he's not gonna get out of there unscathed. The Mercy down and Rain not able to stay up through it. This is that was a slow burn, but a complete wipe of this Lyons Esports team.
Oh my goodness, FBI. If you could see my face, it is in absolute awe of the play that Zebinetsu just made. Not only did they get some kills there, they got 4 kills in that team fight, but they made sure to kill the Mercy before the res came through, and then they just absolutely destroyed everyone else they could find. Really great stuff from Zebinetsu. They've been definitely impressing throughout the series, and they've done it again. Pretty aggressive teleport there. They got to get out of dodge.
Yeah, and put on a clinic, man. That's how you play DPS. Is everybody take heed. All 6 members over here as the dragons do come out. That's well placed, but Zeb falling to well placed headshot immediately after Kitty Cat tossed those out. Mostly used for zoning again, but finds a second one. DPS and supports alike. Nobody is safe around this Kitty Cat sniper. Now, one falling. That's huge. Me taking out his counterpart, little Sigma on Sigma action, but this is a offensive team that needs to get on back, going back to respawn and figure out what they need to do right.
This was a hold that Lions really need to get down. I think that not only is it important for the game since it's the last point, but also just mentally. You know, if you lose a team fight as quickly as you did that last one, and then you lose another one, that can really hurt your mentality. So they made sure they survived, and they got quite a few ultimates left in the bank as well. So there's a lot that they can utilize in this next team fight. CF Ambush, they have a lot as well, but it's going to be harder for Zebinetsu to make these flank plays.
Some ultimates out, and Zeb chooses now. Nasty rock against him. His teammate Win did pick up one, but this is decently even. And as I say that, huge me getting all the damage in the world. Win going a little bit on top, not to be outdone, and that's going to be at least 2 ticks, right?
Yeah, this is gonna be tough. Using the bongo too, as soon as people try and coming out, no one can touch the Sigma. Tried to get there. Oh, FBI, it's too bad for Remington.
Ultimate there at the end, coming against this offensive team, but just too little, too late, Zark. And that was just an absolute bloodbath there. There was one team fight that got lost, and then coming back in here, offense did not give up, and really just a lot of offense dropping all at once. That pressure that comes on, it really is a test of players.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And so now 3 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. And, CF Ambush, they ended King's Row with a pretty big time bank. And they still ended up losing that map. So Lions Gaming, they're definitely not out of this yet. We've seen them come up with some pretty impressive time banks, and maybe they're just one of those teams that really thrives under pressure. You know, they just they have to turn the heat up a little bit to really get everything going. So
this is where I always say my stereotypical pressure makes diamonds, Zark.
Pressure makes diamonds. There you go. I love it.
You pressurize coal, and that's how you make diamonds.
Yeah, true. So
yes, it's not funny if it's like scientific and true. Or
it's too big brain for me. Okay, FBI, too much brain. So now we're gonna see CF Ambush. They're on the defense. They're running this Hanzo McCree. They've been really liking Wind on the McCree. Clearly a comfort pick for them. Maybe they decide to run that to start because they know that Rubiology does like to run that Pharah. It is particularly strong on the first part of the point, but that's not actually what Rubiology is going to go with. They're going to go with the Reaper, and it looks like they're running that Zen Baptiste support line, which we saw them pull out on the King's Row. We'll see. I'm curious to see if it's going to pay benefits here on Temple.
I think that Chigs and Snowstar can make it pay dividends here. Snowstar's already with 37% on ultimate, far and away more than all the rest of his team. And this is these two supports can get that long range damage out. And again, Chigs and Snowstar are players that can get that done all day long. Attempted trades coming through here, mostly just posturing and trying to get damage out both teams. Huge me on the other side, all the way up to 90%. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Sigma ultimate very soon as Spoon, the main support for this CF Ambush defensive team, falling, and the main tank. I think we know how this one goes, Zark.
There is just no way that CF Ambush were ready for a Matrix that early in the fight. Snowstar, they really did a great job of generating that ultimate.
They were not ready for it.
Yeah, they just completely caught them off guards. And really, we talked about how effective was the Baptiste Zen pick going to be on support for Temple of Anubis, and the answer is very. incredibly influential and effective.
Yeah. Answer is it's a hit. And then maybe make it platinum, sell a lot of albums of that one, because seriously, that was so fast. 5 minutes, 40 seconds is we're looking at a Lyons Esports team just taking their time, a nice leisurely slow, because they got all the time in the world, my friends. Now, Snoster, actually, well, maybe they were a little bit too confident, right? They weren't watching their back, right? In a nasty fire tap or something. Nice. Well, that's Moira for you, right? Tossing damage orc on it in close space.
Yes, the skill orb, as I've heard it referred to a couple of times there. So
that
that is sarcastic for you.
I'm learning.
So you're learning, right. Yeah, that for Lyons, that's not the attack you want. You lose a support early, and then you lost their Zen as well. Nothing you can do there. Go back to the drawing board. But you do have both support ultimates, and you're going to need them because here comes a dragon from Zebinetsu.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, do you completely abandon this? They do have the invincibility out, but again, with Snoster falling first, and, I mean, I got to say, great job by Hyper in the main tank, and that's something you usually see, you know, Riss is getting long-range damage out, especially not against main supports.
Right, yeah, definitely impressive from Hyper there. And, yeah, losing supports early, definitely not the way you want to start this out. And,
You're going to have a bad time.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So Lyons, they're trying to wait for their supports a little bit, put some pressure on. Here comes a Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Lyons Esports team with all 6, and here comes several of them. Might be 12 o'clock, but no, it is not. Denied is Kitty Cat. No treats for you. Toaster's invincibility shield now out, and this is going to be a Lyons Esports team kind of vulnerable, Win, Death, both taking picks of their own as Hyper falling to his counterpoint on this, and this is members of both teams all over. Damage coming from up top as that's the Sigma for the Lyons Esports has Rivington barely getting away, and then finding value down bottom, getting damage from the DPS to take a pick. Peepo, no reason to cut this one up, but now everybody has decided Lyons Esports is done, dead, Justin.
And so I think a very late Death Blossom from Rebiology. Maybe they just want to switch. That's what I'm hoping is the case right there, because that there was nobody who was going to be able to follow up on that. So
that, but that team fight was over, right?
It was over a very long time ago. I'm very surprised that Rebiology decided to use that there, but they are sticking with it.
We didn't. I don't know. Yeah.
And you know, Kitty Cat, they have switched on to the Doomfist, so Lions are changing up the strategy a little bit here. I think it's also important to notice that Lions, their focus fire has been a little shaky so far. That's something we gotta keep in mind. How are they addressing targets in this next fight?
Yeah, exactly. Especially tanks like these gotta get that coordinated damage in as Wen Feng first, and that's doing a great job of CS and keeping their main tank back. Hyper has not taken any damage in a while as the barrier did drop, but not in time for Spoon. In the thick of things, everybody on the side of Lyons Esports falling. That sound barrier providing value off in spades, Zark.
Definitely. Definitely something that came in clutch there for CF Ambush. So Lions, again, we're seeing it a little bit more. We're seeing a little more focus fire. They're able to knock some people down here and there, but it seems to me that for Lions, you know, you made a lot of switches, so you're not too upset that you lost that team fight. You know that's sort of an ultimate generation round. We'll see. Maybe they'll be able to get some ultimates by the end of this next fight.
Yeah, there's a huge advantage here is that Wen coming out, he takes a 3-piece bullet. The dome on that one is Kitty Cat, Peepo, Snowster all biting that one, and Remington forced to try and get back by himself. This is going to be a nasty stagger.
And the ultimate economy for CF Ambush has been really great. They used the Coalescence and Win's High Noon, but they're still going to have Hyper's Bongos. They're going to have the Death Blossom. Those are two ultimates that can easily turn the tide of most fights. So they're still in a really good position to continue holding, especially considering that Lions Gaming's, they've been dying early in these team fights, haven't been generating a whole lot of ultimate percentage.
He likes what Lions doing, different take on this one, coming right side. Kitty Cat trying to get back after an offensive push, and not going to happen. Can't get back to his back line. Now, I very hard investment over to the right is, yeah, this is going to be a CF Ambush all over that one, shutting down Lyons Esports. I think they're just a little bit overextended, right?
That's probably my synopsis of what happened there as well. I think that Lions got a little bit ahead of themselves, and CF Ambush, they had the ultimates to knock that back. You know, I mentioned that they had the Bongos, they had the Death Blossoms. What did they use? They used them both, and they ended up winning that team fight. But now, Lions, this is the team fight they have to win. They have 4 ultimates on the board, if you include Lucio's. And really, CF Ambush, they'll have the High Noon and Coalescence, maybe the SIG. We'll see what happens.
Bear Peepo now with the supercharger. This one might be a little bit different, and Ray is making it so. That's a 3 on top as Peepo's supercharger does fall. That's the only loss of the Lyons Esports. They are carrying through CF. CF Ambush.
So now... Yeah, so we're seeing here that Lions Gaming, they've used that sound barrier, and we see the stall picks coming out from CF Ambush when they did get Snowstirred.
Okay, that might be huge, actually, when finding that one down bottom as Lions Esports members still here. A sound barrier onto both Lucio and the Tracer, but now the overtime respawn triggers have come through, and this is going to be a CF Ambush team really fighting to get through here. Zeb is still alive, and now with the fade back, he's still there. Now Divas as well. Death Blossom coming out, but Ray doesn't want to get damage off the front on it. Members of CF Ambush now turning back, but not sure if that's going to be enough, Dark.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but they're finding the kills, and they finally do bring it home right in the nick of time, FBI. Unfortunately for Lions Gaming, they only got an overtime, and CF Ambush, they're gonna have 3 minutes and 32 seconds, and they only need a tick.
33%. That is the promised land here for the CF Ambush team after a really, really hard-fought Temple of Anubis, both ways. I really kind of feel like offending teams on these objective hills, you know, the control point was a little bit different, but now that there's been a payload, there's been objectives, the offending team has really been doing a lot better here in this matchup.
Defensive team
taking with a lot of teams with a lot of time and stuff, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think some really strong defense, especially from CF Ambush. Sure, they ended up losing the point, but sometimes 2CP is just like that, you know. It's sometimes the spawn advantage is enough, sometimes it's just not. And so Lions Gaming, they were able to get it done in the end, but I'm really interested about this decision from Rebiology to go back onto the Pharah. Last time it kind of got taken out pretty quickly by CF Ambush. Mm-hmm. I don't know how successful it's going to be. Wind has been looking pretty good on that McCree. If Rebiology can continue to generate their ultimate really quickly and not make too many positional mistakes like the last time around, it could be a good decision.
And we'll see how it goes here. Is another pharmacy up top. And, I mean, like you just said, man, Ray knows how to do this. He did it last time. This is a CF Ambush team. Looks like they're willing to kind of take their time on this. I mean, they have plenty of it, Zark. Only 33% will be their goal post, as 50% on ultimate now is Ray. Snowster doing exactly what he needs to as Chigs, the other main support, all over this one. Any damage so far that CF Ambush has managed to get in is just instantly healed. Really doing a great job. Now, Barrage will be online any second now for Ray, and this is a CF Ambush team that really can't post up there much longer. Trying to push out now. Come out of a cage, and they're feeling just fine as a very, very early coalescence is Spoon. Well timed as Ray getting it down the back here. Spoon getting two of his own, and again, man, these supports.
Bloodthirsty supports indeed, and now Rebiology has to try and make something happen here. They do find Spoon and two, so they found both supports, but it's going to be tough. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Chigs got stunned out of their ultimate.
That's just Ray there. He does have the Mercy pocket, but it may not be enough. No, excuse me. Now members joining left and right, and this might be a little bit of a different story, Zark. Ethan's still alive on this first tick, not even halfway there as Wynn takes one of his own Tracer on fair. Not something you see every day, I gotta say. 1 minute 50 seconds, and this Winston has just set up a tent here on point. He's been here for so long. Chivo taken out by his counterpoint of this one. Wynn taking instant revenge for his teammate. Little bisection here of Hanzo Dragons and everybody just kind of waiting their turn to cross. With that, we see CF Ambush taking that in a very, very long team fight.
Yeah, CF Ambush getting the win at the end there. I love the double spawn dragons we saw there. That was pretty hilarious. But yeah, I think ultimately CF Ambush, they really tried to put a lot of pressure on Rebiology on that Pharah. And Rebiology, to their credit, they did find a fair amount of value. I mean, they got both supports towards the end there, right before they got taken out. But it just wasn't enough. At the end of the day, the ground war was won by CF Ambush. And when you have 2 CP and all you need is a tick, sometimes that's all it takes is winning the ground war. So really nicely done from CF Ambush. And they're going to go up 2-1 in the series. And I think we're in for a long one, FBI. I think this could go down to the wire.
That's extremely fair. I mean, every one of these has been really close, right? Even with this one, the only reason, obviously they took it in overtime in the second one, but other than that, we wouldn't have seen the next round. I think this has been at least one round of overtime pretty much every time. Right, we saw that on King's Row. We saw this here on Temple of Anubis. Obviously, Control can't go to it, but I'm sure they would have if they could have. Again, with the last game going 99-100, very close game. Sure,
yeah, incredibly close. And I really do think that it's only going to continue heating up and staying close in these next couple maps. The next one, it does look like it's going to be Route 66. But we are going to take a very short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back into the action soon.
I tell you what, here was Dark, and we're finishing up here the HSEL Overwatch Fall Majors Finals, man. We got Lyons Esports taking on CF Ambush. CF Ambush up 2-1 in the series, Dark.
Absolutely, and they've definitely been impressing throughout. I mean, you know, Zebinetsu with those flanks. Spoon has been having a lot of really good opening aggression plays with a lot of times it's coalescences to open up the fights. Hyper and Huge Me have been connecting with a lot of those Halt Flux combos. But on the other side, Lyons, they're no slouches either. I mean, they've been having some really great looks. Snowster, whenever they're playing that Baptiste, I mean, they generate that Matrix lightning fast. We're seeing Rebiology getting these really massive DPS ultimates, whether it's the Death Blossom or the Barrage. And then, of course, Remington, I gave them a big shout out on King's Row, but they just are looking really strong in that Sigma. So, I mean, both these teams, we said it before, very evenly matched. We're seeing it play out here in the scoreline because, again, it is 2-1. And CF Ambush, they got the edge in that last one on Temple of Anubis, but, I mean, both teams did cap both points on Temple, which is, you know, not an easy feat in and of itself.
Yeah, right? Again, I think every time that we've had the opportunity to see overtime rounds, Dark, I do believe we ultimately have. Now, obviously, Control we can't, like I mentioned earlier, but this has spelled out a very, very exciting finals. Again, $6,000 in scholarships, total being for that prize pool. Crazy stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what this has all come down to. This has been an 8-week season plus a 16-team single elimination round on top of that. There has been a lot invested into this tournament, and so to have this best of 7 finals here with everything on the line, all the scholarship money, all the time invested, you know, you want to show up, give it your all, and really put on a good show for all the viewers who are watching and for your teammates. So, you know, this is really important matchup right here today, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
This is a Lion Esports team with their back against the wall. One might say they're staring off into the precipice like a Grand Canyon, right? Here on Route 66, because they can't afford to lose another one. Now, second place is nothing to shake a stick at, nothing to, you know, write home sad about. But everybody wants number one, and again, Lion Esports has used up all their chances. Now, they did not get 3-0'd by any means. This is not, you know, tail between the legs situation. But again, I mean, CF Ambush will up one more. They only need one more in this best of 5 to take it all the way.
Right, and so it looks like CF Ambush, they're going to be started on the attack here. And it looks like they're running pretty standard stuff. That Mei Hanzo, the Orisa Sig, and the Bap Zenyatta for the Lions. And then Ambush, they're running the Reaper and the Hanzo for their DPS, whereas they have a pretty static tank line and support that we've seen throughout the series.
Yeah, nice rock coming from up top here. That's, remember, Lyons Esports, that's Remington. He's been getting it going all day. No surprise that he's nailing these rocks left and right, hitting people in the head. Now, a lot of just kind of trades going on, and actually kind of surprising here, Huge Me being the segment I should be talking about, right? Kitty Cat falling to 12 place shots on this one as we're seeing a Lyons Esports team very, very close-knit here as walls coming out and just dropping just as soon as they are deployed.
Huge Me was really doing some crazy work. You highlighted, FBI, the rocks that were coming on in there, and Huge Me was able to get a lot of value on that Sigma. They found the first kill and at least one other in that team fight. So that's something we need to keep an eye on, especially since they already have 80% ultimate charge as Sigma, whereas Remington, they're only at 48, so nearly double the amount of percentage. That's going to be really strong, and honestly, Lions, they might not even be prepared for it, as they might not be prepared for Zebinetsu up on the flank up there.
Zebinetsu on the flank. There you go. What would they say about Jake with a tire in your bedroom at night? It's Zebinetsu on the flank with 2 Hellfire shotguns. It's Lyons Esports waiting just around the corner, and there's the window, and that is why Kitty Cat, nice shots already, taking advantage of that Baptiste ultimate just as soon as it comes out. Very well. I mean, just awesome. Perfect play, right? That's just all the awareness in the world. That's a player like a Hanzo. And this team fight actually isn't over yet. I was assuming this was getting towards the end, but no. Trades coming out left and right here as Zeb win both the DPS combos for the side of CF Ambush, taking the Lions to task on this one. Now they're striking back. That's Ray and that's Chigs getting ones of their own. And Zark, what is going on?
Yeah, you know, the thing about this is that Lyons did not kill CF Ambush's DPS members early enough in that fight. So they were able to pick up a couple more kills, and now, despite the fact that there was a good opening with that window from Snowster, the CF Ambush are still pushing this cart. They might even get this here, despite the fact there's only been a couple minutes shaved off the clock. 5 minutes and 25 seconds.
This game has been going for what, a minute 35? Something like that, right?
Like that.
It's still at 7.
It has been too quick for Lyons Gaming. This is not the opening they wanted.
Yeah, right. And I mean, seconds just slipping through the fingers like hourglass, man. And when taking an initial pick onto Chigs is not a great way to take this next engagement. This is a CF team about to round around their last 90-degree turn and push it on along till the very last bit. This is the home stretch, and again, this is a CF Ambush team that is up to 1, and the Lyons Esports team back against the wall. Lots of long-range damage coming out as Hanzo now down. A nasty boop against Peepo, and that was all the damage, man. Chigs just a second too late. Honestly, very uncharacteristic, Zark. Like, we've seen Chigs with really, really perfect timing on these transcendences so far through these first, 3 games, yeah.
Well, I mean, part of this is that there just hasn't been enough time for any setup on the side of Lyons Gaming, so CF Ambush, they've been able to just W key on into Lyons.
Yeah, I mean, we said it earlier, we say it again. It seems like whoever's just pushing forward and being aggressive is really just going to take the advantage of this one. You know, we observed at a different time that defenders were really at an advantage throughout these games so far, and I think that's really just what it is. Aggression is rewarded.
Aggression is king right now. I mean, it's really paying in dividends for CF Ambush. Now, of course, they weren't able to bring it home just then. They lost that team fight. Lyons Gaming having that spawn room advantage. But Lyons have to be really careful. They have 2 tank ultimates, no support ultimates. CF Ambush, they're going to have that flux. That could be really huge.
Peepo first and now back down. That's members of Lyons Esports taking a little bit and just equipment dying so far. And as I say that Spoon, oh my goodness, that was a CF Ambush team that had a sound barrier, and Zeb and Spoon died like they were just like anti-ed or something. That was so fast. All the coordination in the world from the Lyons Esports, and they take down their prey on that one.
They certainly do. So it was really nice hold. I credit both Snowster on the really clutch Immortality Field and Remington with their Flux. I mean, they were able to secure a lot of damage with that particular ultimate and allowed for Lyons to just get aggressive themselves and push on into the enemy team. Now, they're going to have both support ultimates here for Lyons. They're going to start with the Matrix.
And then it does make sense, right? I mean, the more that the setup one, Chigs just on the obviously the Transcendence, you want to hold that until things get really hairy, right?
Exactly. You want to hold on to that ultimate till the last minute. They're going to get aggressive here with this May ultimate.
Ray flanking all the time, no matter who they're playing. And Chigs, there's a Transcendence and finding value from it, but that's instant damage, and Win gets interrupted, man. The stun's coming out, and I really think these McCrees have really not been able to finish their ultimate voice lines very much, man.
No, they have not, but I think that one thing that really is making me question is just the fact that Chigs used that Transcendence. It seemed to me to counteract Spoon's Coalescence, which is not really what you want to be using that for in my book. Maybe there was a call for it. I don't know what the comms are like. I'm not in there, but to me, if you're ult tracking, if you're keeping track of what the enemy has and you know these teams are at
guaranteed. They're in the finals, right?
Then you have to know that Zeb and Estu is going to have their Death Blossom and Wind is going to have a High Noon. Now, maybe you don't use the Transcendence for the High Noon, but you probably want to use that for the Death Blossom. I mean, that's just such a huge ultimate, and I'm not sure if it actually in and of itself secured the kills that pushed that through, but it did a whole lot of damage that really set back Lyons quite a bit. And that to me is a bit of a misplay there from Chigs on ultimate usage. And I think that's going to hurt Lyons a little bit because they were looking like they had a pretty strong hold towards the end there. They had finally found their bearings, and then it just slipped through their fingers.
Yeah, and I mean, especially Chiggs has been a player they've been able to rely on. You know, he's been getting damage off on that Zenyatta left and right, but really, and again, triggering those transcendences just been absolutely paramount and perfect timing for this Zenyatta player. Chiggs is up until then, I really don't think there was any, as you just honestly called it, kind of a misplay.
Right. No, they've been solid. Yeah. I mean, not only in terms of their ultimate usage besides that one play, but they've also been really aware of the flanks. It seems like whenever somebody is flanking, Chiggs is one of the first ones to recognize that. So it seems like it was just a bit of a misplay, but I'm sure they're going to bounce back and pick it back up. So now,
and, I mean, the only reason we're talking about it really is just because it had such a big effect right there.
Right, exactly.
And micro mistake that ended up mattering a lot. Nice headshots here, and Ray takes a revenge against his Hanzo. Just killed his Hanzo. Pulls coming out is a lot of damage coming onto Lyons. These shields, again, really not lasting that long. Pulls their own coming against the tanks of the CF ambush, and now they're looking to get out of that ambush, all the way back. Only the that looks like Spoon was kind of low on the healing so far, and actually Hyper not able to.
Okay. So this is a pretty big pick, taking out the main tank. Now KitKat is going to have a lot of free reign here on the Hanzo.
Yeah, these offensive teams, again, this is a song being sang here, guys. The offensive team, just the more aggressive they get, it seems, the faster they're taking this point, no matter which team it is.
Yeah, and again, losing your main tank, the Orisa, so early on in that fight is pretty devastating because, again, these are effectively... in a way, two snipers, right? The McCree and the Hanzo, two long-range DPS that are single shot, and that's pretty tough to lose your main shield in this type of fight.
Yeah, kind of a similar story, right? Over on with the Lyons, right? The McCree, they also have the Zenyatta though, so long-range damage. Peepo as well, same Orisa, setup, right?
True, yeah. And so now we're gonna see CF ambush. They're pushing up pretty forward. Coalescence from Lyons.
That was a good wall to give them a back against that Coalescence. Now 12 o'clock, mostly used for zoning again. And zoning's such an interest. We'll talk about that in a minute. All over points, Lyons trying to push this through. Now the Baptiste wall comes out, and that's Hyper who knows to get away from that one. Looked like he was trying to show a move to come on out, but as soon as that got dropped, he did the smart thing and held on back, kept his life. Now, shield play coming on, posturing coming through on the middle of the payload as wind falls in the thick of things. This is a CF ambush team playing off the back foot and forced all the way back again. These shields just not offering any rest for the weary.
I also want to highlight, I know I was giving Chiggs a hard time. I need to give Chiggs a round of applause. They were the first one to notice that Wind, the Mei for CF ambush, was actually caught in the back line. And they were able to, deal a little bit of damage, notify their team that they were in the back line. And you could tell that they were the first one who noticed that. That was a really big pickup because then it became a 5v6 in Lyons Gaming's advantage. So now we'll see if they're able to continue having positive cart progress. They have over 5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, 5 minutes and 5 ultimates here. Ray will be there now, and that's 6 dragons coming out, and all of it coming against excuse me. Ray taking one as Remington finds himself a DPS as well, so these teams fighting decently even. No, excuse me, Lyons hasn't lost anybody. They must have lost one of the superchargers, the invincibility shields. But no matter, Coalescence coming out. This is Spoon trying to fork on over the damage. Shields up on the front, and Chiggs finding a nice headshot right under it. Great job on that one. Hyper not able to live through this.
That is heartbreaking for CF Ambush. Again, you don't want to lose your main tank that early. And now look at this, Lyons Gaming. They're pushing forward, getting a lot of kills here, and the Matrix at the end.
Look at all those red arrows, man. Everybody wants a piece of the heads in here because headshots were just on the plate, and that's what's for dinner, it seemed. That was like 4 or 5 different players and not just your McCree's here. Now, Lyons Esports are really kind of the first time in this map forced to come on back and regroup.
Yeah, we're finally seeing some regroup coming out from the Lyons. And they're going to have a couple of ultimates using that Dragons right away.
Okay, so the pull did come out there. I think that did get that a lot of edgewise damage. Chiggs with the Transcendence kind of just almost, keeping the, making sure this team is going to be all right, keeping everybody in pocket as now 12 o'clock coming. Nicely done as he hits Hyper and hugged huge. just at the same time, it's not that easy to kill a Hammond, especially when you think about it as just killing a hamster.
Well, but Rebiology, not only did they get that double high noon at the end, they also killed and canceled their counterpart Wynn's ultimate as well. They were using their own high noon. Yeah.
I thought I'd heard. I don't know. I'm getting old hearing things, but it was two different, two unique, voice lines.
Yeah.
That's why you got good color commentators, guys. Can't catch everything.
That's right. And so what we saw there is that at the end of the day, Rebiology is the fastest in the West, I suppose, in terms of being the McCrees. So, well done there. And now, again, this is very reminiscent to me of Kings Row, where you have an incredible push from CF Ambush, and Lyons says, we're going to have a really great push too. And this time it was even better. And 3 minutes, 36 seconds left on the clock. That's going to mean that CF Ambush should be the ones pushing this cart next. And Lyons back onto the defense. Looks like they're going with the same setup as they did on attack, which, I mean, it's working out pretty well for them, so why not, right?
Don't fix it if it isn't broken. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The presence, the Orisa and Sigma, double shields isn't going anywhere, right?
It does not appear that way. It seems like double shields in some iteration or form is probably going to be here for a while. Orisa is just a very strong hero, and it's tough to, combat that.
I think a lot of it is just given that, people are used to one, but now that one goes so quickly, you kind of need a second. So, Rock's coming up. Throwing rocks up top, but that's really going to be Wynn getting arrows. There's oh my goodness, that's lots of arrows. No rocks for this guy, as Wynn does get punished for his aggression there. He got 3 kills and only 1 death. That's a trade that I think any team will make any day. CF Ambush now poaching around. Oh, the rock coming down lane. Oh my, all that artillery. Yeah, seriously.
Wow.
Gotta hit nets on this and hit 3.
I'm curious if they're going to try and approach this cart. It looks like Sig wants to. They might not make it in time. Oh, they
people
did.
all over it. Nice fortify to push all the way through on this one. A half meter away is Remington, Rhea both R's here getting dropped down as the Lyons Esports, man oh man, just getting absolutely dismantled.
Yeah, that seemed to me like there was a little too much hesitation there. Again, it comes back to what I talked about on Kings Row, where when you have a plan, just go ahead and commit to it. This time, it was Lyons who it felt like didn't fully commit. They were really hesitant. It seemed like Remington, they were like, do I go? Do I wait?
Like any millennials having issues with commitment.
But yeah, so basically Remington and the rest of the team, it seemed like they weren't quite sure what they wanted to do. But we'll see if they're a little more steadfast this time around.
There you go. Coalescence coming out first, as is tradition. Jake's following a nasty headshot on this one. Zeb continuing on his rate of terror on this Reaper. He's really just been finding value all day long, Zark. Now tanks falling left and right as Dragon's now down. Peepo getting super low. And man, oh man, that's how CF Ambush rips this up and puts a bow on it for themselves. Now overtime looks like they're going to get the second point, Zark.
Yeah, great stuff from Wynn. The Coalescence 2 from Spoon. Yeah. And so now, Lyons Gaming, it is overtime. Things have gone down to the wire. This is just like Kings Row. And they're going to have their own Hamza Dragon and 2 tank ultimates to try and combat this. They're going to probably want to save Chiggs' Transcendence for the Sigma ult that'll come out pretty soon here.
Hyper, man, trying to go up top, but that was his counterpart. People getting a lot of attention and getting out of that. Wow, my oh my, I was repositioning my camera and just got the butt into that one. Kitty Cat getting a lot of damage, and man oh man, these Lyons Esports DPS is just doing nasty things. But as I say that, okay, yeah, all right, he was just looking to get the last little bit off there. I was kind of wondering about that, but again, I mean, McCree ultimates are used all the time for zoning. That's what it was. It was a smart play.
Sure. But the thing that really impressed me was, yeah, we saw Kitty Cat get a double with the with the Dragon Strike, but that was also a major pull from Peepo. They got a massive halt, which brought 2 into the Dragon Strike, and on top of that, they also used their own supercharger to amplify the damage of the Dragon Strike. Really great stuff there. Good coordination from Lyons Gaming to make that happen. That's it's a set play in a lot of ways, but to execute it,
supercharged
it does take
dragons.
some work.
Supercharged dragons. I think that's an accurate way to put that. To make mincemeat of any tank all the way through. It's just a nasty sight. It's not something that supports nightmares are made out of. Supercharged dragons. Throw a mercy in there, and then it just gets ridiculous. All right, 20 seconds yet. Lyons Esports now on attack after very impressive by CF Ambush. Now we got some sneakiness. They're proving their name, which is Ambush.
We'll see how that works out for them. I am really curious. We've seen really aggressive holds in the past before. I'm curious with the different changes whether this sort of play is as strong. Well, this is going to be a little bit of an experiment.
Well, 3 minutes 30, right? Like, what's the full value that they get from this, right? I mean, I guess they'll be able to hold it back on point, whereas normally, yeah, I get it. So normally, like this first little bit of card is kind of given up, almost like free space. So they're not willing to do that one. I like it. I like the aggression. Wind and his counterpart, that's Kitty, excuse me, were taking points and a lot of damage in before he did fall, but this is looks like an effective defense. Okay,
very effective.
Yeah, the Flatcaster doesn't know nothing.
the plan worked to perfection. They got the early hold. They did lose a couple, so they have to kind of rotate and move back. But they won a team fight when they wouldn't have necessarily if they hadn't stayed there. So nicely done.
Yeah, I mean, Zark, this is it's a matter of time here, right? Like that is the offense's enemy. That time clock right here. They want to get in as soon as possible, and defense just wants us to go. No more invincibility shield here for Snowster, excuse me, as he falls immediately afterwards. Did get tick against Huge Me, but and actually I really thought Hyper was going to be able to get out of that one. Now looking a little bit more even.
Potentially, Lyons Gaming, they're definitely going to have the edge just with the spawn advantage, and CF Ambush, they're probably going to want to back up, but I mean, they did basically just win 2 team fights right at the beginning. They've knocked the clock down to 2 minutes, and Lyons Gaming, they have a couple ultimates, but still CF Ambush, they're going to have another fight here before first can even be attempted to get taken.
Yes, they're going to be looking to finish the fight on this one. Dragons coming out up front, a fantastic initial cavalry, and nice look to it at least as Hyper does fall. Chigsing some fantastic shots on this one. The Zenyatta's really very, very capable of putting in that shots. And I like what CF Ambush is doing, but kind of sitting back here right around this corner, but there's nothing you can do against a Transcendence like that. Chigs again with perfect timing, making sure his team is all right. And now the Sigma ultimate by Remington, gonna rot a bow on this one.
Absolutely, and we saw a Sigma ult from Huge Me come out too little, too late, and finally Lyons Gaming, they're going to cap this point. Not going to get any extra time though, unfortunately for them. But let's take a look at Zeb and Etstu. They've kind of hidden up on the high ground here. I'm curious to see if Lyons are going to notice him there. They've been sneaky this entire time.
Yeah, there's a shark in the water, but I'm not sure if they know it. It goes by the name of Zeb, just getting out of there in the perfect time. That pull would have led to his demise and really might have spelled a difference here in the last 60 seconds. A place where CF Ambush does not want to give it any yardage whatsoever. Now the Supercharger coming out a little bit early, but Wind finding value against Snowster, as it looks like these teams are almost trying to pay attention, just to be like stay connected, excuse me, to the Supercharger. Not really paying attention on that one is Coalescence coming out. Spoon getting this, and that's a lot of pressure as now teams forcing a blue house down bottom. And they're just shooting fish in a barrel here. This is CF Ambush is just going to take this team to task. And CF Ambush takes this one. They'll go up 3-1 in this best of 7, not a best of 5. Now is as good a time as any to tell you guys that I was incorrect earlier.
Well, yeah, and so, we'll see if maybe somebody can I don't think they're going to be able to make it
7
happen.
seconds?
It's going to be
they
really
don't have
tough.
They don't have a ball?
They're going to touch. They're going to make it happen. 2 seconds, but they made it happen.
Yep. First shield up top. Now here comes the Dragons. That's just again used for zoning. Is Zeb looking to finish this and find flashy formation, and that looks like again putting a nice little bow on it. That's Snowster with the nice window at the end to set up a lot more damage, but CF.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, living up to their name with that initial literal ambush at the beginning of that second round there for Lyons. Really nicely done. CF Ambush, again, impressing. They're going up now 3-1 in the series, and looking pretty strong too. It's going to be tough. But again, despite the scoreline with CF Ambush kind of pulling ahead here in the lead and only one game away from winning it all, it's still been close. All of these games have been really close.
Yeah. We're not just
I can't
saying
stress
that
this
again.
enough.
Overtime every single one, right? Overtime is literally every single map so far, except for the control, again, because you can't have that there. You know, you can go and
Sure.
you can go 99 and stuff like that, but that's not going to happen. Zeb, over here on the ambush, like you said, they just really have been executing that play very, very well. I like the wonkiness that they're doing. They're at least attempting it, and especially in situations like that, you know, even I wasn't 100% sure what they were doing at first, but it kind of makes sense because in that overtime, you don't want to give up any extra yardage, like I was saying.
Sure. Yeah. You want to make it as difficult for the enemy to move forward as possible in these sort of situations. Limit that cart movement. Really nicely done. CF Ambush, definitely
Seriously.
looking strong there. And Lyons Esports, they're definitely not out of this. There's one map left. And if anything, they've shown that they can continue coming back from these setbacks just like they did on Kings Row and come up with some really positive results. So this definitely isn't over. I am fully expecting this one to go like all the way to a Game 7, if I'm being completely honest. I'm sitting in and I'm ready.
Yeah, of course, that would require, you know, Lyons Esports to win 2 more back-to-back right here, tied up 3-3. But we'll see how they do it, and if that does happen when we come back in just a few minutes, guys. Hello and welcome back, esports fans. We got a little Overwatch action, more Overwatch action. What am I talking about? This is the HSEL Overwatch Fall Majors Finals, and we got Team CF Ambush taking on Lyons Esports. CF is up 3-1, and I'm at FBI Tugboat. Could never forget the wild man Zark here, and shout out to production as well. Jockey Boy down in producer's box, making our jobs as casters just so much easier, and we appreciate that.
Absolutely. And so it looks like Lijiang Tower is going to be our next map, FBI. And again, this is all down to the wire for Lyons Gamings. They cannot lose another map. They have to win them all. The reverse sweep, so to speak. They do have one under the belt. But again, just to recap, There is $6,000 in scholarships on the line here today. It's been an 8-week season with 244 teams, plus a 16-team single elimination bracket that has brought these teams here today. And until now, Lyons has been undefeated during the regular season, and they only dropped a game in playoffs to their semifinal opponent. And now we're seeing that CF Ambush. Exactly, it was CF Ambush, and now it looks like Ambush is in the lead. And Lyons, they got to bring this back if they want to keep their hopes alive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. CF Ambush. The only team that they lost to was Lyons, and the only map that Lyons lost was to CF Ambush in their matchup. How interesting. A narrative that is exciting and filled and rich, if there ever was one. Lyons Tower now. See how this goes.
I'm really curious to see what we're going to find here. Chigs on the Ana. A little bit of a wild card move there. Normally it's the Zen that they're playing with a Baptiste, but they're going to change it up here on us. But Lyons looks like...
I can dig it.
Yeah.
I can dig it. Nice little headshot here. Wind taking on Ray here, and that's, I mean, starting this off, taking off a DPS and really negating total possibilities, the amount of damage that offensive team can do is... Well, I mean, once you have your back on point, that's going to be money all day long. Looks like CF is going to strike first on this one and start taking away percentage points. Rotating in is Lyons, not really a rotation. This is actually a full frontal assault now as the invincibility shield invested early. Snowster falling immediately after that one gets out. And now, wow, that's CF Ambush just cleaning up here.
And for me, one of the big things that happened here was that Ambush started with the Lucio. And that allowed them to get to point way quicker than Lyons could. And, you know, we saw the same sort of thing happen on Busan downtown, where CF Ambush, same thing, ran the Lucio first, Lyons did not. But the difference there was that Lyons had a pharmacy. They could go around the backside, but there was no real way for them to flank the same way that they could on downtown. So not having that Lucio was a huge detriment to their ability to take that initial fight. So now Lyons are going to be on the back foot a little bit in terms of percentage and position. We'll see if they can make it up in this next
position fight. At Zeb again. Oh! This time he's found out. Followed up with a little bit of Dragons, trying to get some revenge on this and spending a lot of time there as Snowster's invincibility shield does get deleted out. Did serve its purpose though all the way. I think it was only one loss on that as Wind continues on with these headshots. Now perfect timing on the Coalescence here. Spoon looking to follow up on the damage put in by tanks previously. Chugs' and Nana Boost now gone and done, dusted. Snowster pretty much tossing out these invincibility shields just as soon as they come, and that's not going to be enough because Zeben is all over this.
Zeb and Natsu with the revenge kills. They killed 3 in that team fight, by the way. They were the first to die. They came back, killed 3 members of the other team. Absolutely crazy. But one thing I want to mention is that CF Ambush have taken the Vancouver Titans approach to this, where even if they're losing, they keep using ultimates. They keep dumping in ultimates into the team fight until they just win by sheer force. So nicely done by Ambush.
Oh, Chigs on, getting pulled out here a little bit early. I understand the idea of touching, but that was just a huge investment. Ultimates everywhere. It seems like people are screaming a song that's made up only of Overwatch ultimate voice lines. Jeez, that was like, what, 5, 6 right there, barely able to keep up, and this is a different story, Zark. CF Ambush coming through 100-0. That is the first time we've seen something like that happen, and a goose egg put up on the other side.
Yeah, that was the most one-sided we've seen it all day. And, you know, maybe it's just the wear and tear, the fatigue of the match kind of getting into the Lions. But if you're Lions, now is not the time to let that get to you. You know, now is the time to really put your head down and work harder than ever. Because, again, everything is on the line. If they lose this map, this particular map here on Lyons Tower, it's all over.
Yep.
Gardens.
Into the dream, right? Now, I do believe this that 6,000 in prize pools, scholarship-wise, will be split up. I do not believe it's winner take all, but we'll have totals for that, figuring out who gets what as we move along, and this map does end. Pharmacy combination. Love to see it. This Chigs, and that's Ray Biauji. I've just been calling him Ray because I've been butchering that name. I'm sorry. Ray. Been getting it going so far. 30%. The ultimate just spells out lots of damage as he's been able to land so far. That's Zeb, an attempted flank over here, not willing to again go up with the frontal assault, excuse me. Trades coming through as Ray and Bebo both fall. Win continuing on with these headshots like he's been doing a lot previous round, and that really is, in a large extent, why CF Ambush was able to take that 100-0.
Oh, Matrix coming out here from Snowster. That could give them the edge in this fight.
Look at Ray again, just pouring in these shots from the side, but now as he decides to join his teammates coming in, the barrage was, I mean, it was sneaky. I'll give him that. Ray and Zeb on the other side, both players that showing a penchant to really, really love these flanks and whatnot. And then look at that. So they look to try and stagger out Peepo, and what happens, Zark?
Yeah, Peepo ended up getting the halt kill onto Wind. A nice little play there. So now Lyons, they got to make some headroom here. They're coming up on both tank ultimates. And that's going to allow them to make some headroom here against CF Ambush, who do have control of the point right now.
I'm a fool. I'm sorry about that. So I was like thinking, why doesn't Lyons Esports push? But no, Lucio's going to make that a little bit harder. 30%, 33 now for CF. That's ultimates dropping again. That's an invincibility shield right on top of a supercharger. Almost looks like it's meant to be there, but Bebo says, hey, we don't need no stinking damage. We'll just boop them off the edge. Well done. As excuse me, that's Remington doing the smart decision. Long walk off short pier.
Right, and that's exactly what you want to do in this sort of situation when the team fight is lost. Just reset, get back to spawn. The Lions Gaming, that's unfortunate for them. They seem to get caught off guard again by Zebinetsu in their back line. But now they're going up the bridge here. A bit of a risky move, but they're going to make it work for them.
Yeah, and especially in the Lucio's on both sides now, like you said. But Hyper falling, and this looks like it's an investment by Lyons Esports that's going to pay off so far. Win the next on the chopping block here, and that's going to be, again, a huge source of damage between these two. The Rissa Free gone, and now, oh man, that rock just landed a half second before Zeb did pull that Death Blossom. You can guarantee, wish you could have had that one back. Damage coming on. This is looking like Spoon doing a great job pocketing away onto Zeb, and he has not died in quite a long time, Zark.
Certainly not.
This might be it as well. 98, 99. Nobody's here.
Tracer. They were able to touch. And they found a kill too.
Triggered, but no, is that, yep, already used that. Now Remington spinning around, trying to spin to win on this one, trying to buy a little time. That's Chigs on the Lucio, so we'll have the speed to get there, and that's Winston not able to go through this one very long. Remington down, overtime counter ticking down. Lucio having a little bit of trouble trying to get in. Chigs super's close to that sound barrier, and with that, Wind now dying. Maybe it's a CF Ambush team that looks like be losing hold a little bit, and Tracer back, but Tracer down. As Chigs taken out by his counterpart, and Death Blossom looking to end this one. This is backs against the wall. Lyons Esports cannot afford to lose this as the spin is back. Right round, and Ray is there. This might be more. Not gonna happen, and that is it. CF Ambush going to be your 2019 Fall Majors Finals for the High School Esports League.
Wow, I am just absolutely shocked and surprised. I mean,
wow.
What a match this has been, FBI.
What a stagger there at the end, right?
An incredible stagger. A stall, I think.
Stall, excuse me. Yeah.
Just absolutely great stuff. Unfortunately for Lyons Gaming, weren't able to make Lijiang Tower as close as I'm sure they would have liked to, but the whole series, though, was close, to be fair. I mean, it could have gone either way on so many different maps.
It really was there towards the end. Like honestly, Zark, I'm reaching to try and form my own opinion here because I really don't know what it was. The Lucio wasn't utilized by Lyons, but was towards the end and still was the same story. What was it?
I mean, for me, I think part of it was they often started. CF Ambush often started early with the Lucio. That allowed them to get themselves into a better position onto the point and kind of camp out there before Lyons could even really get there to put up a fight. And then once it got into the mix, the thing that I noticed the most was that CF Ambush, even if they lost one, there were many fights where Lyons got the first pick, but CF Ambush, they didn't care. They just kept dumping ultimates. They just said, nope, we're just going to keep dumping ultimates until every single one of us is dead. And it worked out for them. It's kind of I mentioned it before. It's kind of the Vancouver Titans approach. When Goats was meta, they just kept going.
We saw how that worked out for them, right?
Yeah, I mean they got to the
very,
finals.
very well. Yeah, like literally undefeated in regular season. It's not a slight by any means. And something I guess I kind of noticed. Again, I was kind of trying to reach like what was the difference here. Especially there, I feel like Lijiang Tower, CF Ambush. I think kind of realized that they're running very similar compositions, and if they dropped their ultimates at the same time as Lyons Esports, it kind of seemed like it maybe took them off guard a little bit. Like, didn't know exactly what to do. Like, what is a contingency plan? Because they have, an attack plan already going. They already know they're going to be dropping ultimates. What do when you get the same exact ultimates in your face? But obviously from a different team.
Right. It's certainly a little bit different from how we've seen plays go in the past, right? I mean, we've always sort of had a tit for tat sort of thing where if the enemy's using a DPS ultimate, your team is using a support ultimate to cancel it out and balance the scales a little bit.
The tic tac toe, right?
Right.
Then you go here and lock that in,
Yeah, but I think for CF Ambush, they just kept using them. They just kept going. They were super aggressive, especially at the end there, and it paid off for them really well. And I think
we said that the whole time, right? The aggression.
Yeah, kind of like we said, the team that presses W in that instance was winning, especially on Busan, and it seemed to be sort of foreshadowing things to happen later on.
Seriously, the aggression constantly, and I mean that's why so many of these rounds went to overtime, right? There's simply time with which to do so. But with that, my man Zark, I do believe we have reached my least favorite part of any cast, and that, of course, the end.
Yes, but it is important to note that, while maybe the end for this specific cast, this isn't the end for HSEL. There's a lot of stuff happening, and in fact, we have winter signups are open right now, and the Winter Open will run from January 18th to March 20th. It's another opportunity to participate in a tournament just like this. There's going to be a lot of different games being played, whether it's Overwatch, CSGO, Super Smash Brothers, Rainbow Six.
Whether it's Overwatch or lesser esports.
Right. Well,
I'm just playing. I'm not. But seriously, like you said, 11 different esports, right?
Yeah, I mean, on top of the ones I mentioned before, you also have Rocket League, FIFA, so many more. And of course, you can find a lot more information and those signups on hsel.org. So there's a lot more Overwatch, a lot more games being played in the HSEL. So while this is ending, stick around because there's going to be a lot more action to watch.
Yeah, there's a lot up there. Big shout outs here again, Jackie Boy in production, that's L1. Really appreciate him making our jobs as casters just so much easier as well. Credit goes to Blizzard for their music. We really appreciate that. And I do believe that's it. We're going to bid you good people adieu. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed it. And again, big shout out here to CF Ambush taking down Lion Esports 4-1 in the HSEL Overwatch 2019 Fall Majors Finals.
Congrats.